This crazy ride is far from over, and the good news just keeps on coming. Tesla has decoupled from all other markets, all their stocks, all other indicators. And after we go through the good news report, the regular good news report, and the financial analysis, I will end today's episode with some more thoughts on the narrative shift. You don't want to miss this. I'm going to be talking about what you can expect to happen going forward as Tesla has decoupled. This is Randy Kirk. If you like this kind of content, please hit like, hit subscribe. Now, here's a big thing right now. If you are a subscriber or if you haven't subscribed yet and you do it, you also want to hit the notify button, because over the next week or so, I'm going to be releasing all of my new predictions, my projections. I'll talk to you about this more about this at the end of this episode, but I'm going to be releasing these in Patreon first with the spreadsheets, and then also the YouTube videos. I'm going to be releasing those in Patreon. And then over the next 5 days, I think there's at least 5 of these reports that will be coming out with my predictions in all these different areas. So obviously, getting yourself a membership in Patreon would be a good thing to do. And by the way, you get 7 days free. 7 days to try it, and without any obligation. All right, let's talk about what's going on with this stock. All right. Dan Ives of Wedbush Securities put it very well. He says that Tesla is having an AWS or Apple services moment. Now, if you follow my channel, you know I've been saying this for weeks, for months. There's never been another situation. We've seen it twice. If you're old enough, if you're old like me, you watched it with Apple, you watched it with Amazon, you watched these two companies with this massive, incredible capacity that was known to the people who were following it carefully, following those stocks carefully, but was not known to the street, was not accepted by the street. They didn't get it. And the result was these stocks got held back and held back and held back until one day, all of a sudden there was this moment when it was like, oh my gosh, look at the kind of revenue and profits Apple is going to get from their online SaaS services. So anyway, it happened for them. This might be that moment for Tesla. I have a feeling this is almost that moment for Tesla. I think there is a realization taking place. There is a change in the narrative. We do want to talk about that change in the narrative. Well, Dan Wedbush says, okay, I get it. There is a sum of the parts thing going on. Tesla is not just a car company. There's charging stations, there's insurance. He didn't say this. This is me talking. There's semi-trucks. There are opportunities with Dojo, with Optimus, all these different opportunities. Tesla has to be looked at as the sum of the parts. And he claims that he thinks that in 2024, there will be $10 billion in revenues from services alone in 2024. So the narrative is shifting. Dan Ives is helping to change that narrative, but the narrative shifted. It's already happened over the last month. It's been shifting. I've talked about it over and over and over again in my videos. I've been predicting that this breakout would happen. I thought it would happen later, but it's happening now. And so as a result, Dan Ives has raised the Wedbush Securities price target to 300 from 225. That's a significant increase. If we start to see other of the different companies raising their price targets, obviously that'll help to continue the rally. Some people would argue that Dan Ives is only raising his target now because the stock is up to 245. That's way past his target. But anyway, whatever you think, Dan Ives has got it right on the nose. The narrative has changed. So as of today, we have tied the longest win streak, 11 days in a row of up market for Tesla. It is not the highest percentage increase over 11 days, but it's a very high increase compared to any other stock in, well, not any other stock in history. I didn't do that research, but let's just say going from what were we at? I want to say 190, 185. Anyway, when the rally started up to 245, actually it was as high as 254 today before it fell back. That's a pretty good increase over just a few days. All right, well, where did the really big part of this all start? Well, it started when General Motors made their decision to go along with the Tesla charging stations to be a part of the charging network and to agree to the standard that Tesla has established with regard to the charging standard. Dan Ives says that that was the first step in partnerships. Now, we've been saying that all week. Several other people have said it too. This is a first step in future partnerships. Gene Munster came in and said, gee whiz, this doesn't help Tesla in the short term, but it does help them for their mission. And I said, that's nonsense. Of course it helps them for the mission, but it absolutely helps them in the short term, the medium term, and the long term, because it says Tesla's been right. Tesla's been the leader. Tesla's been out there in front putting in these charging stations. That was playing, as again, Dan Ives said, it's playing 4D chess instead of checkers. Only Tesla was doing this, and they were doing it well. They were doing it successfully. So now more people are seeing EVs as an option. More people will see EVs as an option because there are charging stations available to everyone everywhere. If you eliminate range anxiety, did you see my video this morning talking about how women have much more range anxiety than men, so they're not buying at the same level as men are? Well, if you eliminate the range anxiety for those women and they're like, oh, there's plenty of charging stations, what am I talking about? This will be fine. Then more people are going to buy EVs, but more people are going to buy Teslas because they are by far the best car on the road, technologically, safety, fun, entertainment center, over-the-air updates. I mean, you know the story. I don't have to tell you. All right. So the more people that think an EV is an option, and that's what this will do, then the more people are going to buy Teslas. So it's a benefit in the short term, medium term, and long term. Now, there is competition coming, and I've got another video coming up shortly that's going to be talking about the competition, because guess what? It's going to matter. Quite frankly, it's not going to matter for about 3 to 4 years. But in 4 years, the competition is going to matter. I'm going to do a video on this. You don't want to miss it. Hit notify. Okay. So then Elon comes on Twitter today and he reiterates that the Superchargers margin goal is 30%. That's gross margin with a 10% overall profit, because, you know, you've got to pay leases for some of those locations. You've got the cost, the actual cost of installing the equipment. You're probably going to install mega chargers later. It might take years before you can amortize that cost. I think long-term, they're going to make way more than 30% and way more than 10% overall, but that is the current goal for the Supercharger locations. I am also going to do, this will probably be the last one, might even not be next week because it's going to be pretty hard to put this together. I want to take what we did with the Larry Goldberg conversation I had the other day on the charging stations, and I want to do a long-term estimate. Given that everybody is going to get to participate in these charging stations, what will the profits look like in 2027? What will they look like in 2028? I want to spread that out. I'm hoping to have that one by Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see if I can get it done by then. All right. So he says this is what the profit goals are going to be, roughly 30% gross with a 10% net. So next subject here with regard to Tesla was that Elon is shopping. So add Spain to the list. We've got Spain, France, Canada, India, which would right now be considered, I guess, the top 4 because he's been there recently. But who knows? He could show up in South Korea tomorrow. He could end up in Japan the next day. He could end. Oh, he was in China as well recently, talking about expanding. So where is the next gigafactory going to be? What other expansions can we see coming up? Maybe there'll be some additional mega charger facilities being announced. Lots of travel, lots of shopping for locations by Elon right now. Very, very interesting and very, very bullish. Lots of conversations this week about the Highland. So when will the Highland come out? A lot of people thought it would come out today because it was 6.9. I haven't seen any special news on 6.9 yet, but that's what a lot of people thought might happen. Might be the Highland as a reveal on 6.9. Apparently not. Apparently nothing's going to happen today. Nothing, no special announcements, special information. So when will Highland come? Almost everybody thinks it's going to be announced in June. I think has a high likelihood, but nobody knows. But wait, as long as we're talking about Highland, it's going to create interest in Tesla. That's what's going on. All right, another piece of news here. A new lease. This is big. I maybe should have put this higher on the list. a new lease of a building in Fremont, 2,100 square feet. It's going to be for the production of 2680s. This is right across the street from their existing location up there, the Cato Road location. That's a lot of square feet. That's a big building for batteries. So I'm thinking this is not just another 100 gigawatts. Or maybe they're going to use the building for something else. Maybe they're going to create some labs, or maybe they're going to, I don't know, maybe cathodes and also 2680 batteries. I don't know. That's a big building. Anyway, we'll see what that's going to look like. But you don't lease that building if your ramp isn't going well down in Austin. Okay, you've already announced you're going to be building batteries in Reno, and now all of a sudden you're building a new building or leasing a new building in Fremont for the same purpose, to make 2680s. No, you don't do these things unless your 4680 ramp is going just fine. This is a hidden piece of information. This is stuff that the street doesn't know. They're all concentrating on the top of the line news, and nobody's paying attention to the fact that 4680s are being sandbagged. We're gonna be on our way, and I'm starting to believe that maybe 1 terawatt of Tesla in-house production might be a low number. That might now be the baseline number, and Elon might be planning to do a lot more. We'll see what happens. All right, another piece of news here. Tesla Superchargers get Fed money. The Biden administration announced today, yes, Tesla, if you want to build these things, put in your application, you can build them, and you will get your Fed money, your incentive money if you put up these stations, as long as they have CCS capability. Don't know whether Elon is going to capitulate to that. He's capitulated to some extent by adding the smart chargers. But will the new chargers, will new stations that he's putting up have CCS capability? Not sure, now that Ford and General Motors have agreed to move over to the American standard. All right, so that's good news. And that's the US administration, which has not been friendly to Tesla or Elon, all of a sudden seemingly a lot more friendly. Would that be because General Motors and Ford are now friendly? I'm not sure. Okay, next. Kathy, so much good news on this Friday. Kathy Wood says that her 2000, ARK Invest's $2,000 stock target for 2027 does not include services and precious little for energy. Most of that increase is because of the sexy cars and also because of robotaxis. So obviously she's also got nothing in there for Optimus. She's got nothing in there for Dojo. So that $2,000 number, the $2,000 stock target, assumes robotaxi, but doesn't take into consideration all of these other aspects. She was asked that question today. Kathy, it's time to put those into your numbers. We would appreciate it. We love the numbers that you create. We love seeing your analysis. Please take the time to look at the energy thing. Take the time to look at the charging stations, the insurance, Dojo as a service, and the robots. We would love to see what you guys have to say about all those things. Okay, we're going to get on to the market news now. But first, I just want to talk to you about the fact, I think you know that I've written 2 out of the 4 best-selling books on Elon Musk. So if you're interested in learning more about Elon Musk and the companies and Tesla and all the other companies, then you could read my 2 books, The Elon Musk Method and The Elon Musk Mission. They're available on Amazon. You can go buy them right now. They're really inexpensive. You get them in Kindle, and they're available in all the different formats. Maybe you don't know that I've also written 10 other books on business and financial matters. One of those is called Making Money Out of Thin Air. Who wouldn't want to do that? And it's a business book. It's designed for small businesses, even medium-sized businesses, because most small businesses don't seem to know how to put together a proper financial statement. They don't know how to work with their CPA in order to get the right information to go into their financial statement. And so they end up with wrong information in their P&L, wrong information in their balance sheets. And then once they have a P&L, they don't know how to analyze it, and they don't know how to spread it out over years in order to be able to make projections. Well, all of that's in the book. It's a simple, systematic method, shows everybody, a small business owner, how to do that. You can use it to analyze major companies like Tesla. Well, my co-author on that book was CPA Shaila Chamberlain. Shaila also has her MBA, and she has a certified management accountant certification and years of experience working in accounting for manufacturers in the real world, so to speak. She's my personal CPA, and she's the best CPA I've ever employed for doing my very complicated taxes. My last tax return was 85 pages long. Anyway, I'm recommending you give Shaila a call for your business or your personal taxes. You can reach her at 951-768-2969 and let her know that you heard about calling her. You heard about it on this show. That's 951-768-2969. All right. Kathy Wood. Okay, you guys know I'm a fan. I'm a fan of three people right now, right? Three people. Tony Seba. If you haven't been watching Tony Seba's videos, if you don't know what Tony Seba's analysis is, his analysis is proving to be true every single day. It's shocking to see how correctly he has called these S-curves that are happening right now in front of our eyes. So if you haven't watched Tony Seba's videos, you need to go do that. I'm a fan of Kathy Wood. Kathy Wood has she was the hero in 2020 and 2021 because her stocks, everything she did was right, and she made more money than any other fund out there. And then she was the GOAT in 2022 because a lot of her stocks went down 75, 80%, just like Tesla. And so she was the GOAT last year. All of a sudden, she started, now she's being called, she's showing up on CNBC and et cetera a lot now. And basically last Friday, she was the first person I know of to call the bull. She called it on Friday night. I agreed with it, and I did a video on it that you may have seen last Saturday morning saying we are in the bull market. We've been in the bull market. This is a continuation of the bull market. And then what's happened all this week? Person after person, pundit after pundit, banker after banker have come out and said we're in a bull market, or we're right at the end of a bear, or this is the longest bear market in history. Now, anyway, whatever it is, almost everybody's saying we have a change. A change has taken place. The question is, does the Fed believe it? And will they be okay with it? Because they can certainly try to damp it down or kill it this coming week. Because on Wednesday, they announced whether they're going to raise interest rates again. So I'm hoping and I'm expecting that they will be responsive to the numbers on Tuesday and Wednesday on the CPI and the PPI before they make their final decision. I'm sure they're going to look at those, and I'm guessing that they're going to be down. I think they're going to be positive, meaning they're going to be negative. Okay, what do I really mean? Most people think that the CPI will go up 0.4 and the PPI will go up 0.2. I think the 0.2 for the PPI could be right, could be a little lower, but I think the 0.4 on the CPI is high. So I think that might come in closer to 0.3, 0.33, something in that neighborhood. If that happens, the Fed will definitely pause. If it's under 4%, if it's under 3.5, I think the Fed will pause. And then if it continues like that next month, they will continue to pause. And right now, of course, you know me. If you watch this channel, you know that I'm all a big fan of Trueflation. Trueflation right now is showing 2.74. They're under 3. Trueflation shows the information immediately. It's showing it day by day. I'm hoping the Fed pays attention to Trueflation. Maybe somebody at the Fed is watching Trueflation, which tends to run ahead of these reports because the CPI and PPI are a month to 2 months old in terms of the data that they're using to compile these reports. Whereas Trueflation is day by day by day. And they're showing that housing and transportation and food and drink, not counting alcoholic drinks, that those are all down, in some cases actually deflating at this point, or very, very low inflation. And so that's where they come up with their 2.74. If the Fed is watching that and believing that it's a precursor, that it's kind of giving us an indication of where the market is going, I think we get the pause. And if we get all of that happening on Tuesday and Wednesday, then the market probably is going to have a significant uptrend in the week. Now, opposite could happen. The CPI or PPI could come in too high, too hot. The Fed could say, nope, forget it. We're going to do another quarter and figure for another quarter in July too. And the market definitely would probably take a pretty good pause. So either the Fed's going to take a pause, or if it doesn't, the market's going to take a pause. So watch for all of that taking next week. Okay, you know that I watch oil very carefully because oil is something that that goes throughout the economy. Everything depends on oil in terms of pricing. Not every single thing, but you know what I mean. Transport, almost everything that's a product gets transported. And then even the services industry, the humans get transported from home to work, and it costs them money. Anyway, oil prices matter. Some people have called it a general tax on the economy. Well, it continues to be in a real happy space, even with 2 million fewer barrels per day on the market from the Saudis and from OPEC. A million from OPEC and an additional million from the Saudis. Well, it dropped another buck today, heading back towards under 70. I think it ended up like $70.25. So this could be the beginning of demand destruction. I'm not going to go into that again as I have the other day, but I will just say Europe and Australia have definitely seen the future in terms of the way that they're starting to put in wind, solar, and batteries. China is way ahead in all this. They are putting in massive amounts of solar and batteries. The United States now is getting it and starting to put in massive amounts of wind. I mean, it's really happening. The S curve, the Tony Seba S curve is happening. And when you have this much transfer of energy to solar, wind, and battery, well, oil and natural gas and coal are definitely all going to feel the effects. And oil is the one I watch as the big clue. So continue to watch oil if you want to think like in terms of the future, what's going on. That seems to be the future. The other thing I watch is the treasury yields. The 2-month treasury yield is nearing a 12-month high. This is so weird that I spent another 10 minutes in research on that today. I don't understand why people are shying away from this security. The only thing I can figure, I couldn't find anybody else that was talking about it. Well, with the 2-year and the 10-year at such high levels, I guess people are going and buying those because you can lock in those high interest rates for years, and you're anticipating the interest rates are going to go down. So you're locking in these high interest rates for years. And why spend money on a 2-month when you can get a very good yield over multiple years? And you also know that if the yields go down in the future, that means that the underlying bond is going to go up and you make money on the underlying security. Anyway, that seems to be what's going on. That's the best I can do. But who knows what happens next week if the Fed pauses and if inflation shows a better than expected number. Okay, well, profit taking started to come in during the last hour. Tesla's trading around 4% up for the day. It continues in the after hours. Well, last time I looked, about 15 minutes ago, it was still going up even more in the after hours. So at one point, it was almost double the 4%, almost, I think it was around 7% up earlier in the day, but it ended up about 4% in the day. Now, it would be crazy to see Tesla keep going to day 12 with no sell-off at all. It'd be crazy. But on the other hand, note in the comments below if you've ever seen a company with more good news over a 30-day period than Tesla. Come on now, think back. Because Tesla has their hands in so many pies, they're doing so many different things, and you can even throw Twitter in there because Twitter's had a lot of good news too. You start to put all that together, and the amount of attention on Elon Musk and Tesla over this last 30 days, well, that could be, as I've mentioned before, this narrative shift and all this positive attention to the point where even the news has turned positive. There's been almost no negative news reporting since last Saturday. I look for it. I'm searching for it. I'm trying to find negative news, and there's nothing happening out there negative because the narrative shift has been kind of not just a financial narrative shift. It's been an entire what do you want to call it, for the entire sociology. I'm trying to think of how to state it. What's happening is Elon and Tesla are looking good right now, and folks are saying they're looking good. Even the Biden administration is saying, okay, we're going to let you have these funds for putting in superchargers. Tesla's competitors are adding to the love fest. I mean, how much better does it get than that? So yeah, could Tesla keep going up next week? I think so. Am I concluding that it will go up next week? No, I'm concluding that Tesla will need a breather. That's what I believe. I believe it'll need a breather. But let me tell you how it could keep going up and why it might. Tesla has decoupled. It is no longer a multiple of the NASDAQ. It is no longer trading along the same daily or weekly curve as the NASDAQ. It isn't even comparable to the risky growth stocks anymore. If you follow this channel, you know that I call the Kathy Wood type stocks risky growth stocks. They're the ones that got battened down like 75, 80% over the last year, and now we're starting to pop up again. But Tesla's popping up way faster and way more than any of those risky growth stocks, and it no longer follows them on a day-to-day basis like it used to. I used to put up screenshots showing how Tesla was following those risky growth stocks almost every single day. That's over. Tesla is decoupled from everything, is going up on its own power. And right now, bad news in the economy, bad news in the financial markets, bad news about inflation are going to have less impact when this narrative is so strong about Tesla being good. It does mean that specific Tesla good news and this narrative shift is dominant, and it would take a big negative to tamp that down. So will we continue on towards 300? I believe we'll continue on towards 300. I think it will definitely get to 300 if we hit the kind of numbers I think we're going to hit in the second quarter, both in terms of the sales numbers, the average sales price, and the margin numbers. You can see those again on the numbers I'll be putting up over the weekend and talking about on videos coming up. So I think the stock should be at 300 to 350 right now if the market was stronger. So if the market gets back to where it's risk on again and the money comes back from the sidelines, then it won't even take more Tesla good news. That will just be the market buoying Tesla up to the 300, 350 level and then headed to 400. My analysis will be up. I'll start putting up the spreadsheets on Patreon this afternoon. You'll be able to see those. If you want to join Patreon, again, get a 7-day free trial, and you can just take the free trial and then stop it at the end and never spend a dime. Those will be up, and then also the videos explaining them will be up as well. So that's what I got for you today. I hope this has been useful. Hit like and hit notify. It's been great talking to you.